Hello everyone, I'm Diana Borges. I am the community leader for Windsor COPE, and COPE stands for Communities Organized to Prepare for Emergencies. We are part of COPE Northern Sonoma County, which is a nonprofit organization. The program basically has steps for you as neighbors to work together to form your own community, the resources, know who needs help. A lot of it would be, as Jenny said, so having your own community when there's an emergency, people there for you. We have, I am the community leader, but then it really is facilitated by neighbors. So each neighborhood has a neighborhood leader that oversees about 10 to 20 people who helps organize, but then they're the liaison to me and then to Northern Sonoma County COPE, so we can have information that passed down through distribute information. But I am also a professional geologist, and yes, that's me in there, even though you can't see. So this picture is actually from 1985. Before I retired, most of what I did was work on contaminated sites, investigating and cleaning up contaminated sites, soil and groundwater investigations. And so in the process, I have done a lot of air monitoring, hence why I'm doing Smoke Ready. So a lot of air monitoring to find out when we had to don respirators, find out if soil vapors were coming off gassing into buildings, things like that. So, what is wildfire smoke? Wildfire smoke is toxic to start with. It is basically anything that has gotten airborne from the source. So, wildfire smoke is a lot of gases, particulates. We hear about the particulates all the time, but really a lot of the things that also are in there, get out of your way, are the particles, chemicals also, depending on your source. So let's take a look at, there's a wildfire near the geysers out in just the wildland. Most of what that is burning is brush, trees, and things like that, right? But for the Tubbs fire that burned through town, think about everything that was in that mix. So all our household items, if there was an industrial facility that had petroleum products, solvents, so anything that got airborne into that air plume and has now migrated. And wildfire smoke travels a long distance. Jenny mentioned the campfire in Paradise. That thing traveled 3,000 miles that they could detect. And here we had hazardous levels in the air for several days. Who is most at risk? You can see the list there. These are the most vulnerable people, but every one of us actually is susceptible to the different conditions that it can cause. Health effects. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because my goal is not to delve into this. My goal more is to let you understand what the air quality levels are and how to protect yourself. But short term, it affects the eyes, nose, breathing. You can see there most of the things that happen. And it can happen like immediately when you go out, depending on how sensitive you are. Or it might take a few days for it to happen, or repeat exposure. Long term, a lot of different things. So our immune system can decrease. Heart failure due to stress, as Jenny was mentioned about how stressful this is. Our lung function, and it also can increase cancer risk, and especially as with a lot of our firefighters. Unfortunately, a lot of them get impacted by cancer from the exposure that they have fighting fires. Yes?
We had the fires here pre-COVID. So since COVID, we've all taken to wearing masks. Do masks help when there's bad air like this?
Yes, they will. I'll get into that. So air quality levels. Let me go over this. These are different categories that EPA has established. These are not concentrations, so these are not how much is in the air. These will always stay. They change the concentrations sometimes, modify them to when it is triggered. So right here, as I show, so the break here is 9 micrograms per cubic meter. The concentrations are in how much is in 1 cubic meter. Okay, that's what that is. The level before, a while ago, was 15. This year, they dropped it down to 9. So they periodically review that. And so each level here has a concentration that triggers going into that next level when they'll say, we're at this, we're at that, okay? This is based on 24-hour exposure. Now that's important to understand. In order to evaluate health effects, they have to come up with certain conditions, factors, and one of them is always how long-term exposure, so acute, chronic exposure, different things. These are 24 hours. As you know, a lot of times we are much longer than 24 hours. And we're also repeat. So we've had 2017, 2018, 2019, and 2020 of exposure to high concentrations of air quality or poor air quality, which way you want to look at it. EPA and the powers that be say that when it gets down into the very unhealthy, we need to wear proper protection, an N95 mask, or you can also use a P100 mask. And what we are looking at here usually, as you can see at the bottom, is 2.5 micrometers of a particulate matter. That is smaller than your hair. We're talking very fine particulates in the air. That is what they're testing for. Personally, I am not comfortable putting on a mask at 200 anymore because of the repeat exposure. I put it on earlier. I kind of am looking at myself as in the unhealthy group, at least. When it's 150, I'm putting on a mask because these are 24-hour based. I have been exposed. My lungs have been compromised. I know that because of the levels that we've had here repeated periodically. So checking air quality, how do you know what's out there? You can go to purpleair.com. That's a private company, or you can go to airnow.gov. A lot of people go to Purple Air. I love Purple Air. You can see these are their maps. So over here, this is of Windsor from 2023. These all represent a sensor. These are color-coded to match that chart, right? And they actually have the numbers on there, so you can see what's going on. You can also, if you click on one of these, I don't know which one I clicked on, but anyway, a graph pops up and shows the concentration trend for where at that location. This one on EPA, the map doesn't show the concentrations. It does show the color, but so it does give you a range. And it does, if you click on that one, right there it does show your graph and that type of a thing. One thing I want you to be aware of on airnow.gov, they, in the past, on their map, all they showed was their sensor. Okay, this is the official government, and everyone goes to airnow.gov. But AirNow only has one sensor in Sonoma County, and that's in Sebastopol. Okay, so that is not representative for us up in Windsor or northern Sonoma County. Most of our fires come from the northeast. So we're getting the plume, smoke, coming down from north. There's been times when we were at the point where we had to put on a respirator, but Sebastopol was fine because it didn't reach Sebastopol. So now, at least, airnow.gov does show, these are all purple air sensors, but when you go into another portion of that and you put in your zip code, it will pop up with the information, but what pops up is the Sebastopol information. So look at what you're actually getting, what information you're getting. Yes.
So if you're local, we have sensors here on Huerta Gym, our Public Works Corporation yard, and our senior center. And I'm almost certain Vicki has one on this building as well. So if you're local and you're in this community, Purple Air will provide you your local stats. And two, when the air quality becomes unhealthy, the town will be pushing out messaging to assist you if you're unable to get to the purple air.
I like to use watch duty. Jenny mentioned watch duty. Everyone should have watch duty.
Yeah.
For multiple reasons. They keep adding features on there for us to use. And these are all Purple Air information that they have. It's not updated as often as Purple Air. So if you want like a 10-minute reading, then you go to Purple Air. But this will give you information. You can also see where the plumes are. You can find out which way the wind's moving. So they now have all these little arrows. These are wind directions. Wind's going this way. The longer the line, the faster. The longer the line, the faster the wind. As opposed to, see this little guy here? So the air is moving faster out there as opposed to some of the places. So the wind's moving this direction, the wind's coming upwards. So one thing I like about watch duty with the wind directions, I don't have to go multiple websites anymore, but if we're having a fire up here and we're down here, there are high concentrations here, I can look at, is the wind blowing from that coming down into us, or is it blowing the other way? So it gives me a kind of a heads up to know what to expect. I wanted to show you an example of what hazardous air could look like. This is from 2020 up in Willits. So we have had that orange glow here, unfortunately. It doesn't have to be that orange to have hazardous levels, but you know, be aware, you know, that besides just the density, cloudness, you know, when it starts changing colors, we know we're in trouble. So what we can do, we need to protect ourselves, and the biggest part is when we get high levels, stay inside as much as you can. Do you really have to make that trip? A lot of times we don't. Call, change your appointment, eat the cereal instead, whatever it is. But check air quality, which what we did, just said, but keep all your windows and doors closed. Something that has happened to me, you know, I keep my window open at night sometimes, and then the wind direction changed, and when I woke up, it was time to put the air purifier in my bedroom. So kind of be aware of different things. If you have an air conditioner, you need to run it on recirculate. You don't want to pull outside air into your system. So have just the air going through your system. Use an air purifier, air cleaner. This says CARB certified, so like a HEPA filter on it. Don't add to anything in your home. You know, fry food, a candle. Don't add those vapors into your own system, and wear a mask. Now, like I said, N95 or P100 works, but they only work if you wear them properly. And I'll be honest, because I've been tested for a full face respirator, half face respirator. It really depends on how it fits your face. Certain models didn't fit mine. I couldn't get an airtight filter, airtight on there. Air takes the path of least resistance. So if there's a gap and you're breathing in, your air is going to be coming in through there. So you're still going to get some concentrations. So I have two different ones here. I'll show you. For N95, there's, let me put this down. This one, which you're kind of familiar with, and then there's this one that actually has a check valve to breathe out. You need to put, as they show, the straps above, up here and down here, and make this tight. So I'll show you. And this, okay. I got hair, mask hair. Anyway, some of these are going to fit you better than others, and I actually have to get a better fit, even though they say that. I actually have moved my bottom strap up because it just fits better. So make sure you get an airtight fit as much as you can, so that you won't be getting air sneaking in. A lot of times the nose, if it's not tight around the nose. I mean, I think we all experienced that in COVID, especially when you use the cloth mask, right? We had gaps here. You could feel there. Telltale sign is if you wear glasses and then you breathe, your glasses fog up. Well, that's where the air is coming in and out, right? So here are a few suggestions, and one of the big ones is you need to have the supplies before you need them. We all know 2017, you looked around, there were no N95 masks around. There weren't even cat carriers I looked for. Everything is gone, including gas, right? So have those supplies now before you need them. Air quality changes fast. So you need to find a sensor that's near you, or a sensor that is actually located to where you're going. So you get an accurate reading for your location, because not only does it change fast, it can vary drastically area wide. Have at least one air purifier in the house. Maybe I have 3 actually. If you, on your vehicle, have your air conditioner on recirculate too, because you don't, same thing, want to bring in the air. And just because you get in the car doesn't mean the air in your car is safe yet, clean. You have to filter it through the car and then take your mask off. Your filters in the home and vehicle, you're going to have to change periodically. You know, if they're already spent and you're using them trying to filter out things, spent means no good. It's not going to filter properly for you. So we have, in this general area, we have 2 air boards. One is Northern Sonoma County Air Pollution Control, and one is Bay Area Air Quality Control District. The border is just around Arata. You can visit their websites. There is a fire and smoke map from, if you go to airnow.gov, there's a lot of information. You can get to the map. So the map is nice because it shows you an overall plume of where that is. Actually, for the whole United States, you could go look. But if you're interested, how big is the plume in our area, you can go to the map and see where that is. If you want to make your own air purifier, you can do that. You just get a box fan and get a filter and put that on. So these are pictures from my house and things that I do. I want to show you. So and if you're curious, the scientist part of me gets into data a lot, so just to let you know ahead of time. So I have this meter, which is, that's a newer version of what I have here. So I bought this, I don't know after which fire, but I have used this for multiple things, and I continue to bring it out every time there's smoke in the area. It's just, you turn it on and you can just walk around and you sit there and you wait until it has to calibrate at first. And then I just walk around and wait till it tells me, and it'll tell me how much 2.5 particulate matter is in the area right there. I have used it to find out that my floor vents were leaking. There was one in a bedroom that had like a 1/2-inch gap on it that I didn't know before because my house is older. Actually, only one side was still nailed, so I nailed it, and I have put aluminum foil around all the gaps on every floor vent. So not only is it going to help me with smoke sneaking in, but also the cold air. What I also started doing a long time ago was I have a small air purifier I put in next to the door when there's smoke. This is the door that leads out to my garage. And in my garage I have the car door garage, but then I have a person door that I go out of. So I use like when I worked on contaminated sites, you have the hot zone, which is the high concentrations are outside. My garage is my intermediate, medium zone concentrations, and my house is my clean zone. So I go in and out of this door all the time when there's smoke. The air purifier, in theory, picks up the smoke and traps it there so it doesn't go with the rest of my house. And when I open the door, that's my only intermediate concentrations coming in. It's not opening out to, like, say, the hazardous levels that are outside. But be aware, as soon as you open up your garage door to get your car out, well, you just have the same concentrations as before. So that's what I do for that. I've also weather stripped that door because I found out that was leaking some. I used this to also find out when it's time to open my windows. There's been times when maybe the concentrations outside were not great, but they were actually still lower than what I have in the house for some reason. So I opened up windows. I've used this to find out when to move my air purifiers around the house. They say set up a clean room in one part of your house, right? But we don't stay in one part of our house. We sleep in the bedroom, we go in the kitchen. So I've always, moving it around so that my house is clean. It's never zero, I'll tell you that. Well, it's rarely zero. And this does have on here, you'll see at the top, the yellow, it shows moderate, but then it also gives concentrations down below. Let's see. What else do I have on here? So, ash. So ash is basically the big difference. It's larger particles than what we think of smoke. So these two pictures are from my house. The one over there on the left is Point Fire. That's the one Jenny was referring to up by Lake Sonoma. And then this is the wall bridge. So spider webs and a bowl of water trap all the ash and the smoke in there. It's really easy to see what's in the air. If you stick out a bowl of water and the next day go out and you're going to see what has fallen from the air into the bowl. Be aware of that. It's going to be on everything outside. Your plants, what you walk on, if you let your pets out, everything out there is going to get dusted with all this stuff, even though you don't see it. So in order to, think about, you don't want to bring that inside. If you've been outside doing something, you don't want to bring it in. So take your shoes off. If you've been doing a lot, maybe take your clothes off in the garage or something. But just be aware of what you're doing out there and what you could be bringing back inside to your clean area. And when you're out there cleaning up, protect yourself. Gloves, a mask, things like that. And never use a leaf blower. You're just going to get all that stuff airborne again. You're just going to blow it into the street or into your neighbor's yard. And I wanted to end up with some Kincaid photos. These are all from my house after Kincaid. We came back. Those leaves are not all from my yard, and I have no idea how far they came from. Same thing with the wall bridge fire. I had burnt leaves coming in from, wall bridge was west of here. So that stuff can travel very far. You can see some, but the map here shows you can see tiny little particles of things. That's everywhere. And I have to say I'm proud that I finally found a rubber mat that I liked, and so I do not have these combustible mats anymore that we're not supposed to have. I have rubber mats. And this chart shows, this was during the Kincaid fire levels that we had. So at 301 is hazardous levels. This is how high it got back in Kincaid. That is it. Are there any questions?